What does it mean to sponsor an immigrant? What is an affidavit of support? What does it mean if I sign on to sponsor somebody who's an immigrant? Listen to Immigration Wednesdays and find out the answers to these questions. Hi, I'm Attorney Jeff Peek, and anybody who's ever been in part of the immigration process through a family member knows that there comes a point in time where the sponsoring American or permanent resident has to sign a form called the affidavit of support. What is this form? You might have also heard of sponsoring an immigrant, and it has to do with the financial status of the petitioner, usually a U.S. citizen, sometimes a permanent resident, filing a form and saying, I am going to take care of this immigrant so they do not become a public charge, so they don't come to the United States and ask the government for benefits. And so they sign this form and they have to give proof of their earnings and tax returns and W-2s and 1099 forms and this kind of thing. Why do they do that, and what does it mean? What exactly am I signing here? Well, basically, if you read the forms, what you are signing is a promise to support this immigrant so that they do not become a public charge to the United States. Now, for most people, this is a close relative. This is a spouse, sometimes it's a child, it can be a brother or sister or a parent. Usually not much controversy in being willing to sponsor a family member. But what happens if it is a spouse and then later you divorce? Well, this is where it gets very tricky, and a lot of people don't realize this. What you are signing when you sign the affidavit of support is actually a contract between yourself, the immigrant, and the government. Think of it as a three-party contract. And you cannot get out of this contract just because you're divorcing. So it becomes very important to understand when you sponsor your spouse, and of course when everybody sponsors their spouse, they're in love and they just got married and they're ready to bring this person over. But understand, if things do not work out between you and the immigrant spouse down the road, you can still be held by the government to maintain this person's standard of living above the poverty line throughout the terms of the agreement. And the agreement basically says until they are a U.S. citizen, until they die, or until they've had 10 years basically of working on their own through their work record, through establishing payments through IRS, through tax systems. That's a long time to be on that. If your marriage ends after 5 years, you can still be on the hook. So a lot of people are surprised to know that. So not only you as the sponsoring immigrant, you know this, if you ever need a joint sponsor, sometimes people don't make enough on their own and they have to ask a family member to be a joint sponsor. Well, understand that both of you could be on the hook potentially to continue to maintain and pay for that immigrant, even though the marriage ends, if you sign that joint sponsor form. And so this is something kind of not really well known about by most people. Of course, nobody ever plans on getting divorced, so they don't think of this when they're signing it. Of course, they're gonna sign it, it's their spouse, they're in love, they wanna bring them over. But understand there are very serious contractual-like obligations that continue even on past the ending of the marriage if you sign those forms. So it's a little known fact about the affidavit of support. I want to share it with us this morning. And that's what it means, and that's how strong the language is in those forms that you sign as far as your obligation duty to continue to maintain that person you are sponsoring. So a little bit of insight on Immigration Wednesday. I hope this helps. Again, my name's Attorney Jeff Peek with Peek & Tolan. If you have any immigration questions or you need help with something, we'd love to help. Give us a call. Have a great week.